Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mavs Film Room Live post game after the Dallas Mavericks defeated the Houston Rockets at home, 122 to 109. It is December 6th at 10:34 p.m. Central Time, and I'm joined by Vinay and Fazil to talk about this win. Anthony Davis bounced back from a tough night against OKC with 29 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists in about 30 minutes. Uh, Brandon Williams had a fantastic night tonight in just 23 minutes with 20 points and 5 assists. And Cooper Flagg was the third leading scorer tonight with 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Vinay, that was certainly not all we saw tonight, but I want to get your thoughts. What is your takeaway from the Mavs' fourth win in 5 games?
I think, honestly, above everything, my biggest takeaway from this whole week of basketball is that the Mavs are once again fun to watch. And a lot of that has to do with incorporating a good point guard with point guard skills and Nemhard in the lineup, and the whole thing just changed. And I also think Anthony Davis at the five has changed the offense a lot too. And the coaches have kind of gotten away from the DHOs at the top of the key, trying to make our centers into Domantas Sabonis, which is not a good idea to begin with and was a horrible idea all the way through whenever they stop doing it. But the offense is just completely different. The spacing looks way more modern. The actions look more modern. There's going to be some times where they don't shoot well because that happens to every team, but especially to a poor shooting team like the Mavericks still are, just based off the personnel. But it's hard not to be excited just based off what you've seen over this past week.
No, agreed. The Mavericks do seem like they've found a solid point guard rotation, both in terms of playmaking and shot creation, with B. Will tonight and Ryan Nemhard in general over these last 4 or 5 games. Fossil, what are your thoughts on this win?
It was a great win. Coming off the back to back with the Thunder and how we looked yesterday and how much of a friggin' disaster that game was, I certainly didn't expect the Mavs to come out and basically hold a commanding lead for most of the game and show the Rockets that they're a legit team too. Both teams were decimated by injuries tonight. I think the Rockets more so just because they had more recent absences like Şengün and Steven Adams, but still, it's not like the Rockets that played tonight were bad overall. You still had Amin Thompson, you still had KD. KD was fragging the Mavs in the first half, and even still, the Mavs kept pace with the Rockets and eventually pulled away. And basically, they got the lead to as much as 20 plus. And even though the Rockets made a fake comeback at the end, it was still not really in doubt, at least not that much. So it was a great game. Mostly, my number one takeaway for any Mavs game this season is how well is Coop doing, and he did pretty well this game. I really don't have a lot to say there. Nembhard continues to prove that this stretch is just not a fluke because, he's the more he keeps on doing this, the more you're going to have to be forced to conclude that it's replicable. I know it's hard to believe that an undrafted 5'11 rookie is like putting up these stat lines and playing this well, but uh, we just have to see. I get it. Small sample size, but that sample size is increasing every day. And AD himself, like you got to give him a credit. He's a special talent. There's not really many people in the NBA who can score in the exact same way that he does, night in, night out. He makes lots of incredibly tough jump shots, and uh, sometimes that doesn't work out like we saw last night. Sometimes it works out like we saw tonight, and it's he's a special talent. So good to see him play this well. He's not totally washed.
Uh, Good points all around. I'm surprised nobody mentioned that PJ Washington has been out of the lineup. I think he tweaked his ankle uh, a few nights ago, and he found his way back in the lineup tonight. And played 36 minutes, 6 of 13 from the field, 2 of 7 from three. Um, all in all, pretty great night. 5 steals as well. Um, Najee Marshall had a decent game shooting the ball, and he's been pretty nice lately. Uh, But yeah, the story has to be Brandon Williams. I mean, Ryan has had a solid stretch in his field goal percentage with I believe 7 assists and only 2 turnovers is ridiculous. And you're right, Fossil. I mean, I desperately want to be like, oh, what I'm watching isn't realistic or sustainable. Give myself some reason to be okay with the losses that I feel like are inevitably going to be taken at some point. But there's very little to complain about on a night like tonight. Yes, Houston was playing undermanned, but this is still a team that's looking for an identity on both ends of the court. And tonight they played their game. In transition and playing the passing lanes, this team really shines. My concern is that they really can't get that same type of downhill offense against great teams like Oklahoma City, and we can talk about that a little bit later. But tonight was a great bounce back. I will say that on a back-to-back. And Anthony Davis is maybe the one guy that I'm like, hey, you really won me back tonight. That this was a great performance, especially in the third quarter. And it's clear that Anthony Davis is older and that, you can't turn back the clock to 2021 or something. But he's engaged, and the Mavericks have the personnel to find him easier shots. And I think we've seen that in, I think, at least the last 3 of the last 4 games. So all positive signs. Looking forward, it seems a lot more sustainable than it did earlier, and this team can win against decent competition, especially thinking if Kyrie comes back anytime soon.
On any given night, they're going to be just annoying as hell to face if it's like tonight and Cooper, PJ, and AD are all in the lineup. It's miserable to try to score on that trio. It doesn't matter who's out there. For the other team, like Oklahoma City's I mean, they're going to walk to the championship this year if everyone relatively stays healthy, particularly Shea. So like, you almost have to throw out yesterday out of the blue. Like, they had a great scheme on AD. They have elite personnel. Like, it's just, it's tough. But
Also have an elite
I mean,
whistle, but that doesn't matter if they're going to beat you in every other facet.
Shea with that whistle is probably the best player in the world.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about the Thunder.
But regardless, I mean, you're the one that brought it up.
I mean, I was talking about the Mavs versus the Thunder, but
you
yeah.
cut me off because I was about to talk.
Okay,
about
fair.
so
Go.
You're like you just Caleb Martin your way into my take, and now the momentum's off, and now I don't know where to go. But I will say this: the Thunder only had 6 turnovers the other night, but it feels like the Mavericks have been generating more turnovers in the passing lanes, and especially tonight against Houston. So if that key to their defense hasn't really been there all throughout the year, because I mean, coming into tonight, they were 25th in turnovers generated by the opposing team. So if they can get steals and blocks and fast baskets like that, it's just going to make their offensive woes that they've had all season kind of not as big of a concern, because it's just the easiest offense for them, especially when you got guys like Cooper Flagg that can run the floor like he does. It's a nightmare to deal with. So good stuff so far. Tankathon has been put aside for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Up and down, up and down, up and down.
Oh, that's what the Mavericks are. I'm up and down. The Mavericks are up and down. Jason Kidd's up and down. I mean, it's not my fault. But like, I mean, even at the very lowest, I always thought like I keep saying this point on probably every podcast, they're never going to be as bad as the Pelicans and the Wizards and the Nets ever with the records. It doesn't matter. Even if they traded Anthony Davis, they're never going to be that bad. So
Yeah,
I mean,
and
the
they
team's
played
playing well. The young guys are playing well, and that's why I'm saying I'm putting aside Tankathon for the foreseeable future, because like you look at the upcoming schedule, I think the Mavericks are going to creep their way maybe like 2 or 3 games below 500 by the time this month's over.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, our next game is
I mean,
against the Nets.
it is what it is, man.
I'm at this point ambivalent. Like, it's better to win games against decent competition than it is to lose games against everyone.
I mean, this week they won 2 games against the two top three teams in the West, the Nuggets and the Rockets. Granted, the Rockets didn't have Şengün, who is their best player, and the Nuggets didn't have Aaron Gordon, who is one of their most important players, but still, like,
Yeah,
crazy to me.
Murray has come to form a little bit for the Nuggets, but I would say Gordon is the second best player for the Nuggets. Has been for a while. He's their best defender. Um, so I am kind of discounting that win a little bit because of that. But yeah, these are two heartening wins for a team that has relied, while Anthony Davis was out, a lot on young, unproven players. So yeah, no, Anthony Davis playing like this especially is great, but everybody kind of firing on all cylinders. It's difficult for a defense to go 48 minutes just defending in transition constantly, especially when I don't know how many turnovers the Rockets got tonight, but let me find 18, and the Mavericks only had 12. So the Mavericks did a great job. I don't know what their points off turnovers were, but in the first quarter, I think they were leading 15-3 on those points, and that is really the bread and butter for getting everyone involved. And when that is happening, there's not enough good things that I can say about them, but I'm still really concerned in the half court. I'm going to be honest, because that is, you're saying they're going up to 500. Once we're in play-in range, you know,
They're gonna be like 3 to 5 games below 500 by the end of the month, I think.
but that's play-in range, right? Because they're only one game behind or
The West
1.5.
is, I mean, the West is just not as good as everyone thought it was going to be. The Clippers are like a bigger train wreck than anyone in the NBA right now. So that was one of the teams that people thought were going to for sure make the playoffs. I don't think the Warriors are all that. Maybe they'll come into form a little bit later, but that'll be an interesting Christmas game for standings purposes. So standings are right there in front of them, man. Like if they make the 10th seed, it is what it is, I guess. What can you
I
do?
mean, I'm not going to be happy, and I'm not going to lie about it because that's not me. But if they're in that position, I mean, you want to see these reps against better and better competition. But my concern is in the half court, this offense is just not. It doesn't. Not enough threes, although tonight they shot pretty well. I'm just not confident in this offense in the half court. When they're playing the passing lanes and they're able to get in transition, I mean everything is whirring, and that is a great sign. But it takes two halves to make a whole. I'm just not convinced that this team can really compete for long stretches. But we'll see.
AD has to stay on the court, which is, that statement sounds hilarious, but
Well, we've seen him with either cold compress, ice pack, or some sort of heating pad. I don't think it's a heating pad. Some sort of cold compress on his knee, and then today I think on his lower leg, calf, or ankle, while he's on the bench.
depending on the news we get with Lively, which I think all three of us and Jay included probably don't think it's going to be good news whenever the update comes down. We're probably going to see Anthony Davis at the 5 for whatever games he's playing on the court the rest of the season. So that's a positive.
Yeah, no,
In that way.
the OKC game was, I think, just a fluke for him, and that's not even me giving him credit. It's just, he didn't come into the league as a 5, so him playing 5 is low key not his natural position. Maybe not where he gets his well, it is on this team, and especially at this stage in his career. But that's
No,
not
he's
how
a 5. He's been a 5.
fair. But what I'm saying is when he started his career, even when he was very young,
Yeah,
he
when
was smaller, right? So
when
like
he weighed as much as Fazil does right now, then yeah, he was a
Yes.
4.
Okay, okay, fine. I don't want to debate the semantics on this. Okay, I'm just saying if you're playing against Isaiah Hartenstein and
Because
Chet
I hate this
Holmgren-
gimmick. I hate this gimmick that he does where he thinks he's a power forward, especially at this stage of his career.
Oh no, he's not, and I think we all agree on that. All I'm saying is when you're on cruise control as a player on offense, the types of touches that you're used to, that you're comfortable with, the way that you get into rhythm, those are not things like the way that a big's bread and butter in this NBA is not his bread and butter. Is what I'm saying like making sense? Like he needs to get like a little crossover 18-foot jump shot.
Can you put down the mic and demonstrate the move?
Shut up, dude. all I'm saying is like he does have his own game that he has to apply, and he has been shooting quietly well when he has been playing for the Mavericks this season. Granted, it's on I think less than 3 attempts per game, but if he can shoot 30% on volume, although that's not really volume, let's say he gets to 4 or 5 jump shots. If he can maintain that percentage, I think this is quietly extremely optimistic. I don't think that we're going to see a trade, but he is the linchpin of the team, it seems, especially because we don't know when Kyrie's coming back. So if you're saying
just really unlocks everything on both ends when he's at the 5. Like it just the defensive, like him ever since he's come back from the injury, he's been it's been his best defensive stretch as Maverick on defense. He's been incredible on defense.
Absolutely. And it's a nightmare to have him and Cooper on the floor together. If you're a guard or like a 3, I would say. Imagine just going into the paint. You could beat one of them to the basket, but the other one is liable to give you a block. And tonight, I think they got PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flagg all tallied the only 4 blocks that the Mavericks had as a team. And they totaled for, I think, 9 steals. Yeah, 9 out of the 13 steals that the Mavericks had as a team. I mean, really just a juggernaut on the defensive end. And the thing that we saw tonight is PJ being added back into that lineup makes everything a lot easier on the rotations end, because you can take one of those guys out and sub PJ in.
Yeah, anything that has Caleb Martin as a coach's decision is what I'm for.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even realize that he only played like 90 seconds in this game, but that's such a good thing. He managed to get -2 in that time, but very low minutes for Jaden Hardy, Caleb Martin, Musa Cisse.
What were you about to say, Fazil?
I was gonna say, yeah, between having PJ back and being able to sub out our bigs and being able to cycle through that rotation a bit more. And I suppose the only opposing big that Houston had was Clint Capella. AD didn't run out of gas tonight. I don't think so, even late in the game, which he had been prone. Look, I thought he had a great game versus the Nuggets overall. He had a pretty good game against the Heat, I think, but in both those games, he ran out of gas like later on. And that's not, I mean, he's working his way back from an injury. I'm willing to give him grace over that. But tonight was the second night of it back to back, and he was able to put together like a very solid stretch of minutes all the way through. It was good. It was encouraging. And like you guys said, like him at the 5, it unlocks the defense. I don't feel like the Mavs got beat too much 1 through 5. Like there weren't too many mismatches that the Rockets were able to exploit. Even when the help defense between the guys like you guys mentioned, like Coop, PJ, and AD, it was great. Even Najee was able to give solid defensive minutes because he has size, and he's not, like, respectfully, he's not the best. He doesn't have the best defensive instincts, but the Mavs made it work. Even our guards like Brandon Williams were able to use their speed to get steals in the backcourt on Amin Thompson, stuff like that. Like it's definitely a proof of concept. I think like we really do just have to flush away the OKC game, because there's not really very many teams that have the sheer talent that can just kind of overwhelm AD like that. Which is, yeah, I feel good about things overall.
And that is a testament to Ryan Nembhard and also how Brandon Williams was tonight, and Anthony Davis. But I think a big part of it is Ryan Nembhard. Like his ability to just take some of that playmaking and pick and roll ball handling responsibility off of the other guards to make, I said this a couple nights ago, but to make D'Angelo Russell to sideline D'Angelo Russell is huge for the Mavericks' ability to stay competitive this season. It's kind of killing my hopes that they lose games so that we can tank, but I'm never going to complain about Cooper Flagg's Mavericks winning games or Anthony Davis showing out, because Last night in OKC was not a showcase. Not a
That
showcase
wasn't
in any way
that
or
wasn't
form.
him. That was someone
It
else.
wasn't. I don't know what was going on. It really felt like the Monstars had stolen his juju, but he got it back tonight. I don't know what that was about, but doing this to the Rockets without Şengün, yeah, you can say okay, Mickey Mouse, but I think that this stretch of how many games has AD played? 5. 4
Mhm.
of them have been solid performances. I think he got 17 and 17 one night, but every other performance has been over 20 points other than that one loss. Um,
It's been 4 games since he's been back.
4 games. Okay, so he's had 3 great games,
Three
one
out of
not
four.
one forgettable against like a juggernaut type team. So you know what? I can't say anything bad about Anthony Davis right now. He's engaged. That I'm sure that's difficult to do in his position, and they're winning games against decent competition.
A little disgusting since he's come back from injury, but I mean, I think it's just kind of obvious that I can very safely assume that the Mavericks told him to get in complete shape basically before he returned to the court because he just like moves way better and all of it is way better. I'm not going to comment on anything else beyond that, but he just looks better. What did you guys think of Max Christie not starting today?
I mean, it's gonna happen. Max has had a quietly solid season. His consistency on the offensive end, even tonight, has been great. But I think Clay, and basically everyone in the guard rotation knows that if somebody else is performing better and gives the Mavs a better chance to win, they're going to be in the guard lineup. Um, and that just makes the most sense because Clay is maybe the most. Kyrie's not playing, so Clay is the most decorated player in that guard rotation. If he's okay coming off the bench, it doesn't matter. Max still was great. I forget who closed out on him, but he had like a contested moving 3-pointer where he like stepped back into it somewhere in the second quarter or in the first half. Ridiculous. I would like to see him given more minutes, but again, you said this earlier, Vinay. Any game where Caleb Martin basically is a DNP, I'm just happy.
I did think it was a weird starting lineup today. I honestly figured that Max Christie should be starting in every single game because of his floor spacing that the Mavericks desperately need. But I mean, worked out tonight, I guess. And I wonder how that's going to go going forward. Because for me, it doesn't really change much. Like I think Max is a sharpie starter for me, but I guess Jason Kidd doesn't see it that way.
Yeah, but I mean, he has been, besides tonight, he has been starting pretty consistently this season. Yeah,
Yeah, he
besides,
started most of the games besides tonight.
right, right. I was giving it some thought because that surprised me too. And it was Najee who started in place of him tonight. But I mean, I think if I had to like try to dive into Jason Kidd's mind, maybe it's because like, yeah, the Rockets were playing undersized compared to what their usual roster is, but they're still a very physical team. They still have like athletes and some positional size at each position. I'm not gonna say that's enough to take Max out because he plays good against everyone. But Najee, I think that if you're gonna be taking part in like a rougher, more physical game, then Najee's pretty good at like adapting to that because his game is physical itself. I mean it's kind of a gamble because obviously if you swap Max for Najee, that shooting goes way down in the whatever lineup you put out there. But it worked out tonight, so props to J Kid, I guess. If this continues going forward, it would be interesting because I don't know if it's like the way to go. But uh, I
I'm
mean, it
thinking it was
remains to
just
be
a
seen.
one-time thing against the Rockets with the kind of different lineup they had.
Yeah.
Yeah, no Clay minutes tonight.
He was hurt.
Yeah, him not being in the lineup, I didn't even. My thing is, I didn't even really notice. Um, my thing is Najee Marshall takes care of so many like shot creation abilities, even if he's not a shooter. Um, that it doesn't make a huge difference. Uh, I will say though that makes Max Christie not starting a little curious. And I would like to see Max start more just because I would rather him get like 30 minutes a night. But you know what?
Most teams are gonna have more of like a perimeter guard threat than the Rockets started with. I mean, they start Amon Thompson, who's
Well, yeah,
not a shooter
they don't have a
whatsoever.
starting point guard. So
Yeah. So I think it was more of a matchup thing, but I guess we'll see. I mean, it kind of sucks the Mavericks don't play for 6 days. Just like what the hell?
it does because I want to see them maintain this momentum and kind of trial by fire, right? Um, I don't know how far this team can make it with only one major starting quality big healthy, and even that is like their most injury prone one. So like
I
80
mean, at
playing
least
amazing is
Gafford,
great, but
at
like
least at least Gafford isn't like. I mean, he should be back relatively soon. And honestly, the 6 day break is great for guys like Gafford. He should be. He's been kind of teetering with doubtful and questionable these last few games. So I would think he's coming back next
yeah.
Friday versus the Nets.
Even PJ said that he said he's glad for the little break so that he can rest up, get his sleep, everybody can get healthy and they can go again.
And I'm not saying he should be a part of the rotation, but Dwight Powell has actually provided some solid minutes amidst all this like big man injury stuff going on. We're probably going to find out this week what's going on with Derek Lively. Like I said earlier, we kind of expect that to not be great news, but if uh, Anthony Davis needs to stay healthy if you guys want to get excited about the winning product on the court. That's all it is. Like you said, Rohan, he's the linchpin to the team. Like Fazil said earlier, he's changing the defense when he's at the five and all of that. Like he is shocker. He's the highest paid player, is the most important player on the team for winning games this year.
Yeah, well said. It's not just about showcasing him. It's also just this team can win games with him getting his numbers. Um, and frankly, the Mavs need it because it's just him and Dwight Powell and Musa Cisse at this moment. Yes, Gafford will come back, but Gafford has not been a great defender. So the Mavericks are stuck in a position where if they had a healthy center rotation, I would say, hell yeah, keep it together. You're almost second apron. But even if you are near the bottom of the playoffs in the play-in territory, I think that you're solid enough to where you could win it. But let's be frank, this team has not been healthy. And with a guy like Lively at this point, Vinay, you're saying we're waiting to hear how long he's going to be out. You know, how far reaching is this going to be in his young career? But I think we're all sure that he's not going to be back anytime soon. He's wearing a boot, right? So it's unfortunate, but our second best defensive big is out. Dwight Powell's conditioning for a 30-plus-year-old is impeccable. I know that I have had many criticisms of him in his very long Mavs career, but I'm glad that the team has somebody that reliable who can put that energy in and still be engaged the entire time on the court. I will say that for him, but the Mavs need another starting quality big next to Anthony Davis if they truly want to compete. Because if they don't have Gafford for an extended period behind Anthony Davis, what's going to happen when inevitably Anthony Davis misses a night or two? It's just inevitable, and
It's
I'm
hanging on. It's hanging on by like a Cheeto puff in that one meme with the door. That's how much it's hanging on right now. But I mean, right now it is what it is, and it's a good product on the court. We just have to hope and pray AD gets healthy. I think Gafford will. I mean, we'll see. Gafford before he came to Dallas was as durable as a big man gets, and then as soon as he's come to Dallas after that finals run, he's been dealing with these naggy ankle injuries. Last year, the knee injury. This year, again, the ankle injury. So hope he's back because he's. I mean, like I said, very crucial to this big man depth without Lively.
Nico FC really ruined multiple careers in less than a year. But without going too hard in that direction, I do want to pivot to the question of what you would do with the guard rotation. Who do you like playing alongside each other? The Mavericks have tried to go with like a kid will roll out these last two games he's rolled out like B Will plus D'Lo plus Clay, right? Like
Today there was a Nemhard, D'Lo, and Hardy grouping.
yeah, Hardy didn't
Um,
play too much tonight, but that was one of the stints. What do y'all think about that? And I don't know, how do you balance it with defense? Because I do feel like the Mavericks hemorrhage a little bit of that transition offense because they're not able to play the passing lanes as well with those lineups.
I mean, it's kind of like, okay, Kid throws out some wacky lineups. In years past, this is because he always takes the regular season, especially like the first half of the regular season, to experiment with these lineups, see what works best, and so on and so forth. This year, I mean, I think partially this is because of injuries. If we had Kyrie playing, I'm 100% sure we'd be doing we wouldn't have these wacky rotations like the 3 guard lineup you described with Hardy tonight. I don't think that would really see legit time. And again, like some of this would be better if, for instance, Caleb Martin wasn't a complete dud on the court. Like any lineup with him in it, just it's at best neutral, but most of them are just terrible.
where are
Um,
those neutral Caleb Martin lineups? I'd like to see those.
There's no such thing as a neutral Caleb Martin lineup. I was thinking this morning. I was like, it's insane how Quentin Grimes would solve every issue that this guard rotation has. And a big part of it is that like you don't have to play, three, one or two, or you don't have to play 3 guards in a lineup in order to get good offensive play on the perimeter. And to be fair, the Mavs really don't because Najee Marshall is able to do a lot of the creation that a that a guard would want you to
Somewhat,
do.
but somewhat, but they still. I don't think they can. They still can't run lineups where Najee's the only ball handler out there.
Oh no, never. But I don't think that they will necessarily need to because their least injury prone players are the guards, right? So the question that
True.
I was asking really was like, do you think B. Will and Ryan are going to see the floor a lot together, or do you think Kidd and
No,
company should be staggering their minutes?
I think my theory is that Kid is trying out these multiple guard lineups lately because I think when Kyrie comes back, I think the plan is going to be to try some of these lineups with Nemhard and Kyrie together. And that will probably be some of your best offensive lineups throughout the season. And like you're saying, obviously it sounds as bad as it is on defense. They have to figure that out. That's the point of having a NBA championship head coach as your defensive coordinator and also having one of the best defensive front courts in the NBA with what you have. So I think eventually that's what the plan's going to be is Nemhard and Kyrie playing a little bit together. Nemhard's probably going to go to the bench in terms of starting lineup, but I think there's just going to be spurts during a game, kind of like we saw today, where Nemhard, Kyrie are out there with those 3 front court guys, and I think it'll be kind of exciting. I don't know.
I also think that that's what Kidd is gearing up to do, especially because Brendan Williams and Kyrie have overlapping skill sets, and it makes a little bit more sense in the timeline of a game to sub out Kyrie and then put somebody in who will try the defense exactly or about as much or in similar ways, right? So those shots are still there for you. I think that would be good coaching. And you're right, Vinay. The defense is very important. And I don't want to really stress on the OKC game too much, but that did give me a question about Cooper that I want to get y'all's thoughts on. That was maybe his worst defensive game that I've ever seen. Because I've only seen a couple college games, but I'm sure that's the case because he really looked like a non-factor on that end. Um, how much of that do you think is just the opponent and why? And do we think that his offense is going to depend entirely on their ability to get in transition this entire season?
I think Vinay, you could probably give a more informed take because you watched a lot of Cooper in college, but I don't know. I'll just answer your last question about how much of his offense is going to be dependent on transition baskets. I think like, well, I mean, the first 10 games or so, it was very much like those were the only easy buckets he was getting. He started to pick up the NBA game and started to slow down a little bit for him. He's getting some, he can exploit mismatches. He can do straight line drives um in the half court where he looks pretty fluid. I mean, even tonight, he hit a three. He hit a couple of turnaround jumpers. Like he's got a budding post game, Cooper. And I think as he gets more comfortable with the NBA, and the physicality of the NBA, I know he's not going to put on weight or anything this season because who does that, right? Besides our dearly departed number 77.
Hey, Anthony Davis does that too.
Him
Okay.
too, yeah. But I mean, just saying like it's not going to look pretty every single night as we saw with OKC, even though he had an okay-ish game with the just raw scoring numbers. But um, I do think like, we saw the freaking 35-point explosion against the Clippers. I think we're going to see some really nice games out of Cooper just the longer the season progresses, at least offensively. But defensively, I might defer to Vinay on this because again, Vinay's watched way more of him overall than I think any of us.
I always thought coming into this season that he was gonna not be as advertised, kind of just clamping ball handlers and stopping the drive against certain guards. And I think yesterday Oklahoma City's plan was to kind of attack him in dribble drive scenarios, not have him be like a help defender where he wrecks the game on defense if he's given the opportunity to. So I mean, it kind of just seemed like Oklahoma City was game planning it, and I just think he had like an off night. For the most part, he had an off night, like especially in that first half. He just kind of seemed out of it, just didn't seem really locked in, which is rare for him, but very common for an 18-year-old that's playing in the NBA. So I'm not like, too hard on him for that. But I'm not like super worried about the defense necessarily, but it was definitely kind of interesting to see a team attack him like that. It was definitely intentional by Oklahoma City, but he'll figure it out.
Yeah, James in chat is mentioning that he thinks it was a little bit of foul trouble that got him disengaged on defense, and that may have been the case. But I do think that he is a momentum player. And I think OKC is just a juggernaut in ways that no other team in the league is. So I'm not gonna take that one game to say, oh, Coop is overrated on defense, because I still think he is the best defender on this team, and this team is still, I believe, a top 10 defense in the NBA. Although that has been sliding as of late, especially with that loss in Oklahoma City. There is obviously, Vinay, I know you've mentioned this before the season started, the possibility that Cooper could grow even a little in the off season. He is very young. Um, not that I think that helps a ton, but if it comes to shooting over the defense and stuff like that, that plus reps, you know, and him being able to play his natural position, which is the four, I believe. I just see the sky as the limit for him. Like I don't see one particular weakness, but the real question is, when will that half court offense kind of all come together? Because he's not at the level where he can just do bag work at this point.
No, not necessarily, but I will say that he's getting to his spots consistently at a higher clip than even I thought he was going to this early into the season. And it's just kind of on a lot of these shots, it's kind of dependent on him making it or missing it, especially in those mid-range shots. And I think that's going to be a massive part of his game as he gets into his prime and all that. Um, Obviously, the jump shot from three is kind of the biggest concern so far. That'll I mean, I'm not worried about it necessarily, but it is going to be kind of probably the swing factor for him on just how crazy high his ceiling goes. Because if he has a jump shot, he's shooting well from three. It's like it's terrifying. I don't even know what you do with that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with Luka in his rookie season. The main criticism of him is his 3-point shot was not great. His free throw shooting not great, but he has proven to be one of the best shooters in the league year after year after year. I'm sure whenever that happens, if that happens, I believe that Cooper is going to end up
He's
being.
the free throw shooting numbers are too good, which is usually the biggest predictor of NBA 3-point shooting. He's too good of a free throw shooter, and then also like just the college 3-point shooting wasn't. I mean, he started slow in college too, but he ended I want to say in the from January on, he shot above 40% from three. So maybe he's just a slow starter, kind of like Clay. Maybe it's an extended slow start, and maybe hopefully the second half of the season we see some more respectable. I mean, because people are leaving him wide open right now because obviously they're
Yeah.
terrified of the drive, but they also know that he has to show it from three until we guard him out there. So it's definitely got to if it comes around, it'll change a lot of things.
I'm sure there will be some point in this season, especially now that the Mavericks have Ryan Nembhard as a key rotation piece alongside him, that he starts getting played off a little bit too much, and then whole the whole relationship with the defense kind of inverts, where okay, now they're just daring you to shoot, and now you have to use that as an ability to open up the interior for yourself and your teammates. I do think a big part of that is the Mavericks guard play not being able to get guys set shots, get guys in their positions, and kind of part the seas, so to speak. But that's why this period is so exciting, and that's why somebody like me, who obviously advocates the Mavericks going all in for a guy like Darren Peterson, or on this draft pick, is completely fine with seeing these types of wins. Even if you end up 15th in the draft.
Did y'all freeze?
No.
Just me?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Cool. I'm really glad I pay for fiber. It's just super sick. It's still messed up?
If
No,
it's
I
messed
think
up, it's
yeah.
only for you, bro.
Okay, I think it's good now.
Okay, cool.
Great points, whatever you said when I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, now you're Caleb Martin to me.
All right.
No,
man.
I
it hurts when I hear it. It's cooler when I dish it out.
Yeah, man. That's how I feel whenever I see Quentin Grimes' stat lines for the Philadelphia 76ers this year. But guys, I'm not sure how much more there is to say other than Anthony Davis has completely returned to form, and has made his biggest hater, Jay Apaji, into a softcore believer. He's still a hater.
No chance. There's no chance he's a softcore believer.
It's like turning
a Satanist into a Christian. There's no chance. You're converting him. There's no chance.
Listen, I don't know. I think the trade is a big part of it, but I think AD is intangibly better than his statistics will ever suggest. And even at this point in his career, he's engaged and he's like running. There's been a couple possessions, even last night, when he was getting kind of dog walked by Oklahoma City, where the Mavericks got a stop or they got a rebound, and he's the first guy. Oh, he's the first guy on the break. This is one of the oldest guys on the court.
He was running hard that first half, and honestly, as horrible as he was horrible. He got missed a lot, wide open into the basket, and he was definitely getting frustrated that first half. So that's part of the reason. I mean, it's not just Anthony Davis holds a lot of the responsibility for only scoring 2 points, but the team overall didn't do a good job of hitting him because like you said, he was running the floor really hard that first half, especially.
I think the issue is the defense. OKC's defense was so good, and they were routinely creating a wall between the guards and AD to the point where you have to throw over the defense, and then they'll have somebody rotate in order to pick off the steal. And the Mavs guards had just never been defended that way before. So I do think a big part of it is OKC playing very well, and I believe Ryan said after the game that we need to do a better job getting him the ball, but maybe we need to focus less on getting him the ball, right? And I see what he's saying in that if you play your game, he can get shots in the rhythm of the game. He can get putbacks. He can, if you're playing the pick and roll, sometimes you're gonna get the shots. And in this case against OKC, the guards were just not able to create space in the pick and roll. And that, I think, was a big reason why they couldn't find AD. But they will get better. I'm assuming that they're watching the film. And I'm not sure that they're going to be defended like that again until the next time they play OKC. But I do believe that there is only room to improve because we have seen the floor for this Mavericks team, and it is a high lottery pick. But right now, they are playing like a play-in team.
If they're gonna do this whole really go for it this year thing, I mean, who knows what the front office is thinking? But if they're gonna actually like go for it, whatever it is, you have to avoid Oklahoma City first round. Like if we're doing all this just to like lose to Oklahoma City in 4 games, like what are we doing? But if you can realistically push for that seven, other side of the bracket type ordeal, go for it. Good
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah, which is why this is a really good stretch to show that you're competitive before Kyrie comes back. Because if you're able to hover around 500, and I'm
You can't
assuming,
just sit. You can't just sit, guys. You gotta. The
yeah,
team's rolling. The team's rolling, and you gotta play.
if the team's rolling and you have the ability to get into that, 6-7 range just out of the play in a little bit, get there. Get there because once Kyrie's back, you're going to be winning a lot more games, and then you can stay in that realm. But yeah, there's so much basketball to be played from now until the trade deadline, and so much has changed even in the last 2 or 3 weeks because of Nemhard and AD, as well as Cooper Flagg just taking a little leap. And I'm sure things will continue to get better as long as guys are healthy. But not much more that I have to say, guys. Any closing thoughts on the Mavericks' recent, I guess, 4 wins in 5 games and their victory against the Rockets tonight?
Not really. I mean, I have some thoughts about just generally the process that the Mavs are going through in each individual game. Like, um, okay, I'll try to keep this short, but basically, you mentioned Rohan briefly Nembhard's quote last night about, to be precise, he said he thinks that the Mavs were a little too focused on getting Anthony Davis the ball in the paint. And I mean, again, like we're talking process versus results, right? Probably take a good process and bad results over bad process and good results because if you have a good process, it's going to write itself and it's going to be sustainable and you're going to get good results eventually. Um, just stylistically, I'm not really a huge fan of Anthony Davis getting the ball in the low post and trying to like either go in for, back down for a layup or dunk, which he doesn't really do. Usually he settles for the turnaround jump shot or, a mid-range jump shot like a step back or something. Um, Again, I said at the very beginning of this podcast, he's a special talent. He's very unique in that regard. There's not a lot of people in NBA history who do what he does, but I'm thinking of prime Anthony Davis. He had a stat line, he had a performance tonight that was like prime Anthony Davis. Can he be like that every night against all types of personnel, namely like the Thunder, for instance? No, I really don't think so. I think if he tried to pull what he did tonight versus the Thunder, it usually go like it did last night. So it's tough. I don't know, like against weaker competition, and I now realize I'm kind of parroting what our friend Kirk has said, Kirk Henderson. Um Against weaker competition, Anthony Davis can do this like night in, night out, but against like tougher competition, I don't know. I don't know if it's sustainable. So it's weird. I don't know like what the long-term future for the Mavs look like this season alone. If everybody gets healthy, fingers crossed. Um, as unlikely as that sounds, yeah, maybe they could like. It sounds crazy. They could make it to like the second round of the playoffs, which is an accomplishment. But like going forward, I mean, what are we trying to do here? What are we trying to build? I don't think Anthony Davis and Kyrie, just bluntly speaking, are going to stay great long enough for Cooper to play well with Cooper when he enters his own prime. So it's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. At this point though, after how dreadfully the Mavs started at 5-15, like, might as well just enjoy the wins. So
Damn.
I think it's something to be revisited at a later time.
Um, I'm really curious to see how this team looks like with Kyrie Irving back. It's definitely what I've been thinking these last few games. I don't know when he's coming back, but the whole thing with Anthony Davis, and I feel like he's gotten too much criticism for this, is like he's never his best fit has never been as the offensive number one on a team. Like it's always best when he's next to, I mean, and with the Lakers next to a Hall of Fame level point guard in LeBron. So when Kyrie comes back, I know Kyrie's like not necessarily the facilitator that Luca or LeBron are, but I just feel like it's going to help. Obviously, no shit, Sherlock. It's going to help everyone's game out when you have a level of impact of Kyrie Irving at the point guard spot. And I think the two-man game with Kyrie and AD has a lot of promise to it. AD is more of a play finisher, so if you can get someone else that can create the plays for him, I don't think people are going to be criticizing his offensive game as much as they have been.
Yeah, this Mavs team has a couple days off. I think their next game is December
Couple of
12th.
days, they have 6 days.
They have 6 days off. Their next game is December 12th against the Brooklyn Nets, one of the worst teams in the league. But Michael Porter Jr. has been on a little tear, and they do have Cam Thomas, who I believe is healthy. So it should
They
be.
do have a few NBA players.
So there's. It's not a completely skippable night, and I'm
It's a
sure.
skippable. That's a green Sharpie right there. W.
Okay, well, this is a team that has lost to the Wizards, so you know what?
That's a different team. Post Nico era.
I wish. Here is what I will say before my outro. This team's ceiling is not a contender. This team has no shot of winning a championship because of what Fossil just mentioned. Anthony Davis can beat up on teams that are not built to be surefire contenders. But any competently designed team near the top of the NBA, I'm going to be honest, healthy, the Lakers, Anthony Davis can play against them, but he can't stop what the guards are doing there. With the Thunder, they just have personnel to kind of lock him out of everything, and we really haven't even seen him against the top of the East yet. Other than that freak show that D'Angelo Russell had in Mexico City, like, what are they going to do against the Pistons and Jalen Duren and all of these guys? Jalen Duren had an amazing night that night against D'Angelo Russell and the Mavericks. So there's just too many question marks, but my one exclamation point is the Mavs are not a contender. And that's not me hating on anyone. It's me acknowledging that the ceiling is only as high as Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis allow it to be. And if those are your two best players, you can get somewhere in the playoffs, but I don't think you're winning a championship. And so the Mavericks need to do what they need to do in order to win a championship with the personnel they have. My thinking, and I think the smart thinking, is maximize Cooper Flagg's rookie contract. But if the team is winning games like this, if Brandon Williams is playing like this, if Ryan Nembhard is playing like this, if Cooper Flagg and Anthony Davis are playing like this, it's going to be very, very difficult to maximize your draft capital this year, which is your only draft pick for the next 5 years. I have been Rohan. Go Mavs. I don't know how much more there is to say.
What does I have been Rohan?
I'm no longer Rohan. Oh wait, yeah, no. Subscribe to us here if you liked our content. Follow us on Twitter. We our tweeters be heaters, bro. Yeah, we're on every single podcast platform as the Mavs Film Room Podcast. We appreciate you, everyone, for joining the conversation. We will be back next week.